So I've been taking this walk every day on the way to the gym, and it allows me to clear my thoughts after a long day at work. And it allows me to really ponder and think about deeper things that I don't really get a chance to think about when I'm going through my day, dealing with the team and the businesses and so on and so forth. I'm actually in Dubai right now. I don't know if you can see the skyline behind me, but this is the Burj Khalifa right there. You know, I've been really thinking about this recently, and it's funny how as soon as you start going through your 20s, you start having these ideas and you start wondering all these rules that are just been implied on us by society, right? And all these things that we're told we have to do, and we have to do this way and live our life that way. And when you challenge these things, nobody seems to have an answer as to why, like a valid answer, right? People will tell you, oh, it's because of this or because of that, but then the validity of those claims remain questionable. And one thing to keep in mind is when you really think about this thing for a long time, you start to realize, and you live life and go through different scenarios in your life, and especially when you launch businesses and start to look at the legal system and all that stuff, you start to realize that all these rules, all of these things that are just implied to us are made up. They're made up by people that were here before us, people that shaped the world the way they wanted to shape it, and they placed these guidelines, they put these guidelines in place in order to serve their benefit. And that's not necessarily bad, but it is all made up, right? You're led to believe that this is what you need to stick by. And if you do stick by these rules, trust and believe you will never ever make it. You won't make it. And I'm not trying to be preachy over here. I'm not trying to, tell you, I'm not telling you to break the law either, obviously, right? But you really need to challenge boundaries and think outside the box when it comes to a lot of these things that you're taught, or else you're just gonna stay a nobody, and you're really gonna do what these people want you to do, and that is become a slave. Just be stuck into the slave mind. And is that really what you want to look back at after 50, 60 years of life? You want to look back and be like, did I challenge these guidelines, or did I really just stick by them and I was a goody two-shoes, right? And again, I'm not saying you need to break the law. I'm not saying you should be a bad citizen or a convict. What I'm saying is you shouldn't accept anything from anybody just because they said, oh, this is how it needs to be done. You need to go to school because that's how you're gonna become someone who's independent, who's gonna be able to have a family. As soon as you start living life, you start realizing that this is modern day slavery. It's just what it is, right? That mindset of having to go to school because you need to get a job and you're limited by this and limited by that. You're only limited by what you think you're limited by, what your mind tells you you're limited by. And that is something that's very, very important to always remember and always think of. And if I didn't really understand this very early on when I first started my business, and I realized that working at a 9-to-5 was straight up bullshit. And I'm not knocking 9 to 5, right? I had to work a 9-to-5 in order to survive, in order to fund my business, in order to become an entrepreneur and build businesses and so on and so forth. So I used the 9-to-5 life as a stepping stone. I used it as a way to get to the final destination, which is becoming an entrepreneur and running a business. Now, you need to do the same. And there's no shame in using a 9-to-5 in order to take care of your family and provide, okay? It's a means to provide at the end of the day. But what's important is to not get stuck in that. If you get stuck in that life, you will never achieve greatness because it's limited. It's a cage that you're placed into, and that's all it is. You're never going to be able to escape it. You're never going to be you're never going to achieve, you're not going to push beyond the limits. You're never going to achieve things that are beyond your imagination. And the only way to do that is to bend rules and to go above and beyond and challenge everything that society, family has ever fed in your brain and told you, hey, this is how it's supposed to be, when it's not. You decide how it's supposed to be. You decide how it's supposed to be. You decide what it's gonna be like, because this is your life. And when you're on your deathbed, you're gonna look back and be like, okay, this was a life that I lived that is made up, that is a passage to wherever next we're going. How did I live this life, right? How did I actually, what did I achieve? Did I just like conform and I listened to people just because they told me to do that? Jesus Christ, these mosquitoes are crazy. But like, did I do that? Or did I challenge these mindsets? Did I embrace individuality, and I decided what works for me and what's not, and I used that in order to achieve greatness and get to the final destination, which is leaving a legacy that I'm proud of, that my family will forever be remembered for. All of these things are things you need to really sit down and think about, as a man especially, because this will define how you will look at life in general and how you will go about life for however many remaining years you have on this earth. And I wish I came to this realization a lot earlier in my youth. I wish I had this realization a long time ago, because it would have saved me a lot of time. It would have saved me a lot of dead ends that I had to go to in order to figure things out for myself. Now, this is something that I really encourage anyone in their 20s or 30s, even 40s, if you're a little bit late to realize these things, I don't think it's an issue. I think late is better than never. But it's really important that you realize it before it's too late and before there's no way of going back. And it's something that I've always preached. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized how much of a scam and how fake all these rules are that are implied to us and that are implied on us or set on us by society. And yeah, so I hope this video finds you well. I'm gonna be dropping a lot more of these videos on a regular basis here on the channel to inspire the young people, inspire the people who are going through whatever journey it is that they are going through, and hopefully bring light and help others with whatever I had to go through, and transmit that knowledge onto you guys in hopes of helping you, right? The whole point is you want to gain knowledge in order to buy time, right? The knowledge will buy you time, and the more knowledge you gain from the right sources, the more time you will buy, the less mistakes you will make, the more educated decisions you're going to make, and the faster you're going to get to your destination and hopefully surpass that destination and set a new destination and keep growing and doing amazing things. So my goal when I share videos like this is always to educate the young minds, any mind really that's willing to listen, because I do have a decent amount of experience that I can share with you. And if anybody could have told me this when I was in my early 20s, I guarantee you I would have been a lot farther in life than where I'm at right now. And there's a lot for me to learn, I'm sure, and I'm looking forward to that. And I try to always learn from the guys who already went through the journey before me, and you should do the same, because it'll save you a lot of time, agony, and pain. So hopefully this helps. I'll be dropping a lot more of these. Let me know in the comments. I'm happy to do a lot more of these.